Hello everyone, the Klaus here, and today guys I'm gonna review one of my mock. So of course it's one from my series of 8 warlords, so I've already reviewed 4 guys in fact, and today I'm gonna review the 5th guy, so which is in fact woman, excuse me, and here we go. So as you can see there is multiple mocks, so of course I'm gonna review one by one, but I'm gonna first let you see a kind of a general shot. General group shot of all these 3 guys, but of course the warlord itself is here. So, well, I think that's all. We're gonna begin. So I'm gonna put off these 2 chains and we'll be ready. Of course, trying to not fall off. Okay, there we go. So, the main colors you can see, the color scheme as you can see is mainly white plus some white cream, which was in fact this part, and this part, which were released in TOC in 2006. And also you have some light gray parts here and there, just some little parts to connect piece between them. So I'm gonna begin by the body first, but I think I'm gonna put this off. It will be easier for me to explain how it works. So the main idea behind this mock was of course to make kind of a sexy and dangerous at the same time woman type, so what we call in France femme fatale. I think you used also this word in the US. And well, this means of course doing tall characters and stuff like that. So we're gonna begin with the body first. So I used first of all waist, pelvis part, excuse me, as you can see right here, and of course right here for the ball joints. Then I've choose different type of this part, which are in fact parts with 2 pinhole and 1 axle hole, which is perpendicular to these 2 holes I've talked about. So I use this part right here, and thanks to this little gray part, you can see I could link this part, which will be the part of the body, which is in fact an Inika fit, this one, and then of course using two waxy heads to make the bust, right here with ball joints and connectors. So it's really a simple idea for a woman because it's really used tons of times in mocks. So thanks to this part I could link this. Then I continue to put some technique beams and stuff like that. I'm not gonna enter in the details. It's not really interesting. And then I could put these double long connectors, which will be useful of course to link the 2 arms. And then for the back part, I used this waxy foot, excuse me, which was useful first for the main design element because it's curved, so it's better to have a curved back than just a blocky one. And of course to link the head, because if you look on the upper part, you will see that there is no holes at all to link the head, so I was forced to use this part and then link some parts together, excuse me, to finally link the head this way, right here. The head, which is in fact pretty simple because I used some wacky head, which is also really used tons of times in Wudaka and of course in tons of mocks of female characters. So wacky head, the same goes for the eyes. There's little parts right here which are taken from Wudaka. Little difference, there is no lower jaws on my character, excuse me. And I also add this part right here to have some asymmetrical head. And then also this part used as hair, which is in fact a cloud released in the Makuta of 2008 in the second wave. So really simple head, as you can see, nothing really that complicated at all. And well, I think that's quite all for the body part. Yes, except for this, of course, this Toa Holda foot used right here because I really like this part, the shape of the part, and also the possibilities offered by this part because there is multiple holes and stuff like that. And this part which will be useful to link the front part of the skirt because you know I like to put skirt on my characters. Well, at least it's called like that in for example, on the big robots and stuff like that, on the mechas and stuff like that, it's called the skirt with some parts on the legs which cover the legs and the front of the waist. So some skirt again, and the foot of the skirt which is made with pre-like foot because it's a long part, so I think it would be it will mix well with all my kind of cloud part everywhere. You can see it's long, it's tall, so yes, that's why I use this part. Even if you look on the side, it doesn't really look that good because the holes between these two parts, but right, there is not that much possibilities to link these parts together. So yes, I talk about the part. Now I'm gonna talk about the arms. Yes, the arms themselves. Excuse me. So of course I've got a double long connector. So this means I didn't have a ball job to, of course, link it directly to the arm itself. To of course a second double connector. So this means the use of two ball jumps to link these two double connectors together. Pretty simple. And I've put between them this Nuva shoulder armor, which was useful in fact to cover the hole and in fact make real shoulder, because with just two ball joints it would have looked just blocky and ugly. So this means using this part, and also of course this used as a shape reminder because I've got some curved shape parts right here, and the same goes here, so it's all in the same line as you can see in this V shape, so it's all follows up perfectly. Then for the arm itself, well, some little, well, I don't really want to have some long arms because it would mean falling off, well, too low on this part. So, well, I decided to have some short arm. So this means a little double connectors with some parts right here, and then a metro arm, which is one of the smaller legs, in fact. And then the hands, which is a useful techniques to make your hands bigger, is just to use this slicer fit and link it to the connectors. And then I use also put an Baroque eye also to make some claw. And the same goes for this one, except for the weapon, of course, which is here a throwing disc, in fact, a disc at least, which is made with these two water dish parts, in fact. I think it's called water dish, and also kind of a chainsaw part between them. Of course, it's linked directly through the connectors and the ends. So this means I can't really put this off. That's all for the second arm. And now for the legs, so one of my main ideas for the legs was to use some kind of a Japanese design. Well, at least I think most of these guys which use this design are Japanese, because this means I have huge waist and hips, have huge waist and hips, and then make it thinner and thinner to have like a little small fit or no fit at all, in fact. So the main idea is to have a big part right here, so big hips and waist, and then slow down, not really slow down, but thin down the legs to have really something very thin for the fit. So this means using, for me at least, double long connectors. Then I used this Piraka legs to make well, a bulkier hip, if I can say so, or at least waist. Then using some this metal part, because there was not that much metal legs which would have fit well, because the Vaki doesn't really go well, and the Ordica one are really quite blocky. So I use this metal one. Then and then to make the fit, so to make something really thin, of course I decided to use some kind of height heels. So this means taking a Baroque foot, then using this Marito and daggers, and then for the height heels itself, using this part, which are in fact just technically them with two Visorak legs. Visorak legs, because of course there was the same shape as this part, so this means they are kind of cloud and stuff like that, so it looks pretty well together. Well, it is pretty good together, because pretty well I don't think it doesn't really mean any sense at all, so pretty good together. And also for the other part of the legs itself is here, so I used on the second of the back of this part of the connectors, I just used this part to make some aerodynamic feeling, in fact, to make something like I still have really a hard time to pronounce this word. So by the way, it goes in this type of line. Then using these connectors to link it to a slicer foot, and then using this. Well, it was just to play with the parts. In fact, I just wanted to use this galley hook in white, and then find out it just fit perfectly together with this part and this also. Well, just decided to let it like that, and also it will mean have kind of a big waist, and that was one of my main ideas for this mug, of course. And here we go. It's done for at least this mug. So now I'm going to talk about the articulation. So first of all, I'm going to do a little turn around. So yes, excuse me for the, it's really flashy because of my artificial light, so excuse me for this little disagreement. No, disagreement, this little problem. And now for the articulation section. So first of all, maybe the arms. Of course, I got two ball joints right here, so this means I could do some pose like this or right there. So no really big problem at all. Here it's blocked at 90 degrees because of this part, and the ends, there is really no big problems at all with the ends. Now for the head itself, so you can make it look down on the sides a little, but not up, of course, because it's the hair part blocked right here. Then you've got the legs, which are, well, linked to the metal pelvis, but of course, which can turn this way, even if all the parts tends to touch together, but you can still do stuff like this, and then curve this part, but again, you will have the parts will begin to touch, so it will kind of hard to move it, but you can still do some crochet pose, even if it was not the goal intended, because of course, the main goal was to have something which looked good when it's standing still, of course, where it look majestic and stuff like that. So of course, it's not really supposed to be put in this type of ways, but still it can be put in this way. So no problems, even if it's quite hard, I have to say. I have to admit. And I think that's all for the warlord itself. Now we're gonna I'm gonna talk about our two pet ways, because one of the idea with when I search for ideas for my 8 warlords, I decided to have one Titans which of course which will control YE, and I decided to be in fact so I'm going to take this one. The two ways are quite similar, in fact, apart from some little parts and the color shade. So this one has a black and white color shade, and at first I kind of wanted to use little parts and stuff like that, but finally I decided to take most of the character one part, because I do not really use this part usually. I don't really use this big blocky part and stuff like that, so that was that was a good timing to use this part to have some small and well-designed way. So I chose to this body part right here, which is this one, then using some arms and legs from the character one, the same goes to the feet. Yeah, it's different because this clothes is made with an onuar clothes and some baroque eyes in white, because I really hate to have some axle right here. It's really doesn't really look that good, in fact. On the body, then I choose to put this Unica shoulder armor in this way, and of course it will be useful to link this part, which is the tail part right here, with two connectors, really simple, and a metal arm. Also, it is the galley close used right here, galley hook used right here. Then you have the head itself, which is also pretty simple. I use the connectors and this little parts, link it with an onuar close right here, and then finally an head plus a mask to make kind of original head shape. And of course, these trunks part are used to make the eyes, I suppose. And then I decided also to have some kind of shape reminders, and to have kind of little spines all the way from the head right here down to the spine and to the tail itself. And that's all, I think. This part I use, of course, to link the parts together, I think, and stuff like that, to make all the parts all pretty well. And of course, there is two, in terms of articulations, there is 2 ball joints per arms and legs, and 1 ball joint right here, so this means you can do stuff like this. We can try really different type of pose. Oh, yes, excuse me, sorry. We can't really see it well, right here. And the second one is not really different, apart from the fact that this time it is dark gray and white, and also used these little parts right here, and then used also an onion mask and well, yellow, trans yellow eyes. And I decided to do that just to have some little variation, because it was quite interesting to have some different way which use in fact the same body frame. It's still interesting to have some difference between these guys and not just make some clones. Excuse me, the chain just fell down right here, and that's all I think. So that's also all for this mugs, guys. So I'm gonna put down this book. Putting the warlord back, and then I'm gonna link the two way to in fact. So I decided not to make her take the chain by the end, in fact, but to link it to her waist, because it was maybe more original, and that's why I found it was pretty well interesting to do this way. So there we go. And I think that will be all, guys, with this mug, because it's I've said everything I have to say on this mug, guys. So yes, in terms of little sum up, but of course it's my mug, so it's quite hard to sum up my own mug. But I have said that again, I'm quite not really proud, but I'm happy because I've done what I wanted to do. In fact, I mean, my main idea behind this mug was to make a kind of sexy and dangerous woman, and I think it's what it is. In fact, it's a woman-shaped mug, and also it's tall and stuff like that with spins and everything. I wanted also to have 2 little mugs, and again they are made. So in fact, but there is of course still little problems. So of course, this height heels part doesn't really hold that well and tends to fall off easily. So that's really kind of a problem. Also, the head is not really linked pretty well, I have to say, because there is tons of little parts and stuff like that. It doesn't really look that good. The 90 degrees articulation on the arm isn't really that good. This part with the little holes, well, it's quite not really. Well, it's could have maybe been better. Don't really know. And maybe the waist is not really too big, but there is maybe too much part to make some type of pose. But overall, it's pretty an interesting mug, and I have to say that I'm pretty proud for the body frame itself, because it worked pretty well. Yes, it works. At least it works. Yeah, it works and it looks pretty good. And for the way it sells, I don't have anything to say about them. I think they are okay, seriously. They are what they were supposed to be. So that's all, guys. So, but of course, if you have any comments or suggestion or opinion on my mug, well, feel free to ask questions and stuff like that. I will happily answer them. And that's all, guys. So hope you enjoyed this review. Hope you enjoyed my mug, and see you later for another video review. Bye bye.